Good morning. The Board of Cosmetology meeting is convening at 10:02 a.m. on February the 5th, 2026. This meeting is being held in person and through Zoom video conference and is being recorded. The recording will be posted to the internet for public viewing. I will now call roll. Tracy Promo here. Harold Fox. Chelsea Westcott.
Here.
Jamie Farron.
Here.
Beatrice Van.
Here.
Alicia Reed.
Here.
Sarah Schilling.
Here, sorry, I'm on my phone.
No worries, thank you. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. Board members are asked to not use the chat feature during the meetings. The Health Licensing Office, HLO, asks that individuals attending through Zoom keep their phones muted and cameras off during the entire meeting or until they are given an opportunity to comment during public and interested parties feedback period, if indicated on the agenda. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Public members wishing to speak, please sign in on the roster sheet available in the room or email Josh Page at josh.page@oha.oregon.gov and provide your first and last name. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business.
Harold joined us at 10:03.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. This is Bob.
Good morning, Bob.
Live from his office. So if you're ready to move into items for board action, we just need a motion to approve the agenda and a second, and then a roll call for approval.
Can I get someone to motion to approve the agenda, please?
This is Alicia, and I motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
This is Jamie Farron. I second that.
Thank you, Jamie. I'll call Harold.
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yes.
Jamie.
Yes.
Beatrice.
Yes.
Alicia.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is additional requirements for retake examinations. Derek or Trish, when are you going to handle that?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Derek Foltz. I'm the qualification analyst at the Health Licensing Office. I guess we'll just go down the list and go one by one. So if we want to start with the first one, it is applicant 166432, and they are seeking approval to take the barbering exam for the 13th time. This individual was brought to the board at the last meeting after their 10th failed attempt, and the board decided to give them 1 study review and 2 additional attempts. So as you can see, it looks like the last time they tested, that was their highest score, and they were pretty darn close.
This is Tracy. I was speaking with Sammy yesterday, and we talked about some of the other options that we could give some of these applicants. And it was suggested that we could, like we did with this one, we said 2 times, we could suggest some things like, it's my understanding that we can say things like retake of 5 times within the next year, so that we don't have to continue to see these, one by one by one by one, if we thought that they were on the right track to getting where they needed to be for licensure.
Okay, so do we want to give this individual up to the 15th attempt or give him 5 additional attempts for this specific individual?
Thank you, Derek. Does anyone have suggestions or ideas, opinions?
This is Alicia, and it did look like he was really, or she, I guess, was almost there. So I just feel like they're probably going to be able to pass in the next couple. So I would give more attempts for sure.
Do we want to do the 5 attempts?
This
Might
is
as well-
Jamie Farron. I agree with that.
This is Tracy. 5 more attempts or up to 15?
5.
This is Alicia. I would think that's great as well.
Awesome.
Okay. Do we want to provide any study reviews within those 5 attempts or just give them straight 5 more tries? Maybe another
This
study
is
review.
Jamie. I think they're really close. I think we just give them 5 more tries.
Okay. Perfect. And then if we're ready, we can move on to the next one. That is applicant 166980, and they are seeking approval to take the aesthetics exam for the 11th time.
This is Tracy. They're at 73. I think a study review and, up to 5 more within the next 365 days would get them there.
All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on this specific individual?
This is Alicia, and I agree with Tracy.
All right, moving on to applicant 137898. They are seeking approval to take the nail exam for the 11th time.
This is Tracy. I'm fine doing the same as before, up to 5 more times, 1 study review, and 5 more within the year.
This is Jamie. I agree with that as well.
All right, and then moving on to the last one, it's applicant 177995. They are also seeking approval to take the aesthetics exam for the 11th try.
This is Tracy. Same as before, if that's okay with everyone. 1 study review and up to 5 more attempts for within the year. A year.
Yeah, this is Alicia. I think that sounds good.
All right, perfect. We will get started on that. Thank you, guys.
Derek, can one more thing? This is Tracy. Can we ensure that we are coaching them to, if they're going to take more than 1, if they need to take it twice, 3 times, that we coach them to come in like within a week or 2? I don't want anyone to think that the 30-day is still applicable. If it's not, I'd love for them to get in and while it's still fresh for them.
Yeah, perfect. We will, when we reach out to schedule them, we will let them know that soonest available appointment, they can take that one.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on. Looks like we have a rule petition up next on the agenda. Sammy?
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So we received on, I believe it was the 26th of January, a rule petition to add additional rules to the Board of Cosmetology's rules within the series 1817. And they're basically regarding aesthetics and that scope of practice, and list out some things that are in and some things that are out. Did everybody get this information? I know it was added late.
Yes. This is Jamie.
This is Chelsea. I received it.
This is Alicia. Yeah. Sorry, Beatrice. I received it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, so there's kind of 2 options that you have. You can deny the petition outright, or you can initiate rulemaking. Now, initiating rulemaking looks a lot of different ways. It could be, we're already in rulemaking currently for Senate House Bill 2380 and the provisional certificate. In my opinion, that wouldn't really work because the scope of that work is different than the scope of this work, because this would be really pointed at aesthetics. But you could initiate rulemaking, and we have to go through it, see if there's legal advice needed. Are there areas that we can't do anything? Are there areas where you could do stuff? So you guys are open to talk about it. We can walk through kind of each one, and some of it we already have kind of set. There's already things in rule about, and so it's already kind of been determined. So that's up to you guys how you want to kind of work through the work.
Thank you, Sammy. I just kind of wanted to mention that, Sammy was so kind as to resend some of the flow charts that we used a couple of years ago or a few years ago when we met, jointed with the Advanced Aesthetics Board, where we, I felt like we did a really good job of laying out some of these guidelines of how the difference between the two licensures and some of the clarity of the definitions. And it seems like the petition is much more about like the clarity of defining certain things, right? Like the chemical pills and things like that. And I believe that we really did kind of lay that out in the flow chart, making sure that we talked about depth of procedure and things like that. I'm open to, us getting more clear and taking a look at some of these definitions if we want. I also wanted to remind the board that, these rules are looked at again every 5 years. And so that was back in 2023 when we did this originally. And so we would be, the rules would be looked at in a few more years as well. So I just kind of want to throw it out there before we start conversation. Did everybody get a chance to read over everything? Any feelings, any opinions?
This is Alicia. I did read over everything. It didn't seem that out of line when I was reading it. In fact, what I was kind of thinking would be nice is to compare the word or whatever they're like, what is it currently on the books versus are they just adding stuff? Are they changing the actual words? And what was it before? What is it now? But it didn't seem like it was anything new. And honestly, after what you just said, if it's going to be looked at anyway, and we're going to take up time in the next 2 years to relook at all the rules, is it worth doing all that now? Is it that detrimental in the next 2 years? People are going to go off the rails if we don't, adjust things. I don't think so. I think it's probably fine as it is now for the next 2 years, but that's okay. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
This is Beatrice. I went through it. I think I agree with Alicia for the most part from an esthetician standpoint of like the rules hasn't, like, I think that what she wrote or they wrote, I think it's good. I think that there does need to be some kind of clarification on some of the things. I do think like with the facial massage and buccal massage is one. I think lymphatic massage is one. I do think that we do, as estheticians, we do a lot of that work. And I think that having clear guidelines, so having seen this in like print, I think that was really helpful to see that. So I do agree on that standpoint of this petition. I think the Lancet and manual extraction tools also really great to, bring forth because there isn't really anything in our rules that really state that. I think with the chemical peels and microneedling, I think when like reviewing our rules that Sammy sent back, I feel like we have, when we rewrote it a couple years ago, I think that it's pretty standard. Like I know that it was very convoluted a long time ago where we had concentrations and percentages. So now I think it just really specifying very superficial that we, as standard estheticians as the Board of Cosmetology, we can use anything that doesn't go beyond the epidermis. So I think that's pretty straightforward. So I'm interested to hear what their recommendations are of like wanting, because saying that I did say that it's intended the action of the product, but I feel like that's where with manufacturers, that's where manufacturers are very vague. And I know that there's a lot of appeals out there and manufacturers saying that it's within our scope, but then yet it says that it penetrates the dermis. And so that's where I think there's a little bit of that, but then it's not that strong, but yet it still states that. So I think that's where some of the confusion is, I think, in a sense, because I get a lot of those questions from my alumni of like, can I use this particular peel? And I usually say technically no, because it states that it's going beyond the epidermis. So I think that's, I think it'll be interesting to hear more of what their intention of like rewording the peel part is. But I think everything else is very, I'm open to it, because I do, as an esthetician, I do think that some of these areas do need more clarifications. And I do think that I feel like we could implement it to make it, have a conversation of it.
Got it.
I think it's fair for us to have a conversation about it.
I hear that. Thank you, Beatrice. Sammy, did you have something to add?
No.
Okay. Chelsea or Sarah, Harold, any opinions?
No. Hey, this is Harold. No, not really. They were just talking about this ambiguity. That's the word that struck me. And if we can go ahead and first of all, it doesn't need to be scrapped. I think everything we're doing and that we have accomplished, quite frankly, I don't think it really has hampered their ability to do their job. So, but I think we can clean it up a little bit to help them kind of interpret what the board has proposed. So that's the only thing. If there's a little bit of ambiguity, that's not a problem. We can clean that up. But if you're saying things like, for example, words like superficial and all these types of things, it's like, well, I mean, there is a little bit of ambiguity there, but to get back to Beatrice's point, I don't think much in their scope has changed. So that's just how I interpret the whole thing. I think we can clean it up just a little bit and tighten it up.
Thank you, Harold. Sammy, did you have something?
Yes.
Okay.
So just to kind of move the conversation along. So I think some of it can be accomplished through FAQs. A lot of the information is done. You guys already added microneedling into your aesthetics devices. It's there clearly. You guys have defined what a chemical peel is. To Beatrice's point, the law says you can't go below the epidermis. It just is what it is. And we can't, if the legislature says X, we can't decide it's Y. So if it's epidermis, it's epidermis. So if a medium depth peel is going below the epidermis, it's not in your scope. So some of these things I think are nothing we can do. We're going to keep getting the same answer every time. If we keep asking it, we're going to get the same answer because we've asked them already and we've defined it. So all of the definitions of the chemical peels are already defined in your rules, and there's an FAQ for that. The ones where it's the massage stuff, I'd be interested to see what comes out of it. Massage definitely is not in your scope. It's not listed. So it's, manipulation is what it really says. So I don't know how that advice will come out. I don't know. I don't know how the massage board will feel about it. So I think there's a lot of questions there that maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. So
right.
Those would be ones that would have to go for a deeper dive with legal counsel, me and legal counsel, and kind of going through what those are. With the, probably likely working with the massage board and seeing where they land, because there is crossover, obviously. And yeah, I mean, is lymphatic drain, body lymphatic, is that in the scope? She says no. So I don't know. Sounds like some say yes, some say no. I know I get phone calls and they say yes. So it's definitely a mixed bag for sure.
This is Alicia. I guess that does point out that there is enough ambiguity that people are having to try and figure it out. So if there was a way to, eliminate that, I suppose that's just all they're after, really, isn't it? Is just trying to eliminate the questions. But still, can that wait 2 years? I mean, probably,
This is Tracy. I am under that feeling as well. I hate to put more work on Sammy, but if we had, the FAQs really can clean so many things up without us having to go into, adopting new rules, that procedure, especially if we're going to, relook at it again in a couple of years. I also would have a sense of urgency had we had, any instances that we were having dialogue or conversation about harm to the public through any of these chemical pills or those sorts of things, and we're not seeing that, and so I don't really have a huge sense of urgency. I'm more prone to deny petition and have us look at it again, or the rules be looked at again in a few years.
Yeah, the other part is I think cosmetic facial massage, I think that is fine. If you're putting lotions and creams and beautifying the skin and to do that, it also requires your hands to move across someone's face.
Right.
I don't think that could be cleared up, but I don't know that there needs to be rulemaking to do it. I think where you start to get in the sticky business is the lymphatic part. And that's a whole system in and of itself in the body. And so that is the one that I think is the biggest question for me. Otherwise, I think everything else, you've already said it. It's just pulling it out and saying it a little bit differently, I think.
Right. Any other feedback?
This is Chelsea. I agree with you, Tracy. It doesn't seem that there's a high need other than maybe a couple of questions. And so I agree an FAQ for now would be fine. And then we can really look at things more later. But if we're not causing harm right now, I think it's people just wanting to be more exact than maybe the wording is to their liking.
Got it. Thank you, Chelsea.
Yeah, this is Beatrice. I don't know. I guess like being an esthetician, I'm a little feeling a little bit more about this, in a sense of, I do think that, with facial massage, we're manipulating. And I do know that in a lot of our practices, and I know with a lot of estheticians, a lot of us do, our bread and butter, is hydrofacials, and we do cupping. And so I think that plays a really big part. And yes, we haven't had any complaints or any challenges. And so I really feel like moving forward, doing that, but at the same time, does that mean that they're not able to perform their hydrofacials to a lot of people have invested in these machines. So are we not able to use our machines at its capacity, because we are manipulating the skin, but there is a little bit of that lymph draft, you know what I mean? So do we change the verbiage? And I guess that's where the estheticians could potentially, myself, could be questioning that part of it. And so I don't know how much time it's going to take for us. I feel like with this kind of work, I don't feel like, I know besides, Sammy having to do some research, that's like talking to the massage board, but I don't know. I kind of feel like there is a good medium, but at the same time, I'm a little torn, because that's just the esthetician and myself wanting to support that, because I do know that a lot of us have invested in hydrofacials and education to learn how to manipulate the skin to really go more with treatment focused facials. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want that to potentially impede on their businesses, because that could affect my business as well. Right. So I think it can, and that's just me speaking up for the estheticians.
Right. This is Tracy. I mean, that's exactly why, you're on the board, right? Is because you're coming from that perspective. Do we believe that it is something that warrants an initiation of permanent rulemaking procedures process, or do we feel like it's something that with the work of the FAQ can give some clarity, and then looking at it again for more precise delineation of those terms in a couple of years? And Sammy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just a couple thoughts. So estheticians really don't treat disease and ailments, right? So we don't do that. Even though there's not complaints, when you start scope creeping into other professions, then you risk getting in trouble with their boards. It may not be your board, but it could be their board. So I'm just kind of thinking, sometimes it's be careful what you wish for or asking for, so think about these things. So that's really all I have to say.
This is Beatrice. So I guess like if we don't move forward, because it seems like a couple board members are wanting to revisit in a couple years. So what does that look like? So if we deny this petition, they could potentially petition and bring it up again, right? Or do we put this on the pipeline for us to revisit when we revisit our rules and laws in a couple years?
This is Tracy. Sammy, can you give us some clarity on that?
I would love to give you clarity on that, but I don't have a lot of clear guidance to give. But yeah, they definitely could do another petition. They could do a petition every week. There's no limit to that. I mean, I'm required by law to review a new rule within 5 years of it being new. So those aesthetics device rules, then defining natural physiological effect rule, those have to be reviewed in 5 years. It's a requirement. Outside of that, if you say that we have to do rulemaking, then I'll do my best to get that done, in a amount of time that's, I don't know what the word is, as soon as possible, within reason.
Mm-hmm. Does that help, Beatrice? Does that clear anything up for you?
Probably not.
Not really.
I mean, I guess this is Tracy again. Like, I guess when you say you review a rule in 5 years, a new rule, is that you independently by yourself taking a look at that? Does it come up in front of us again? Does it come in front of a rack? Like, what does that look like?
That is a great question. There really isn't a clear statute on I don't want to speak out of turn, but OHA does have a little form that you fill out. I think it can go a lot of different ways. I think you can do a rack. Racks are never required, unless it's like there's some required for things that wouldn't relate to you guys, fiscal stuff. So they're not required. I think it's just the agency that would be to look at it and see if it needs, basically looking at to see, is it working? Is it not working? Can you get rid of it? Do you even need it anymore? So that's kind of the basic premise. There isn't a clear process for it. We fill out, complete a form. Usually I'm always in rulemaking, so I never make it to the 5 years, usually. So anyway, it's in front of a rack, so.
Got it.
This is Sarah. I have a question that I guess is kind of popping up for me with the facial massage and lymphatic specifically. It does say that it doesn't include therapeutic massage, post-surgical massage, or manual lymphatic drainage performed in connection with medical or surgical procedures. And so I guess I'm wondering if hydrofacial specifically is considered like a medical device. Because then I think that language gets a little convoluted for me personally. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts.
I mean, this is Tracy. I don't know enough about medical medical devices? Is it registered? Does it have to be registered as a medical device? And then is a hydrofacial machine registered as that?
Well, I know it's FDA. This is Sarah. I know it is FDA, like registered as a, what does it say? For use in medical spas, but I don't know, I guess exactly what it's registered as under the FDA.
This is Tracy again. It just gets so tricky when we're talking about specific like trademarks too. Like we're talking about hydrofacial, and that's, that basically that brand kind of thing. Syndio, hydrofacial elite. That's they're stating as medical grade skin rejuvenation devices. So I'm like, are we, it again goes back to, are we using it to go into the dermis? I mean, I definitely think that there is, with, these are comments that I've made, a couple of years ago, with the development of the beauty industry and these specifically aesthetics and, advanced aesthetics, we are leaps and we're just growing every single day, which is why I always wanted us to go back to that flow chart, because I think this is going to be like every time we meet, we could have a conversation about what new device is out there or what new chemical is out there and how do we define it and how do we allocate it to one scope of practice versus another. And so I'm always trying to find ways to make it not about the brand, not about the specific ingredient, but more about like, what is it doing to the skin and what scope of practice does it fall under through that?
Did everybody get the flow chart?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Beatrice. This got kind of thrown to us like within the last few days. Is this something that we could potentially hold off and meet again, like postpone it so we can do some more research and
Sure.
be able to like make instead of denying it, that we can actually make a constructive decision, and that other people on the board who are not an esthetician, you guys can look at some of the recommendations and kind of look into these points that the petition went through, but then also myself having some time to be able to give you guys also more information on my end too, as an esthetician myself. I just kind of feel like us voting today is going to disservice a lot of people. And I just don't feel, honestly, I don't feel good about voting with us just getting this information within the last couple of days and not having the time to really sit with it.
Yeah, you guys have 90 days from the 26th to provide an answer. And I would just make sure that when you're, doing your own research, you're doing it, not as a group. And that you're always going back to the statute and that flow chart and what is in your scope. Because again, as things get bigger and bigger and every, things get more complicated, we start to bring things in and we need to hone back in on what's that definition of advanced or aesthetics. And then what's the definition of device? What does the flow chart say? So keeping within your guys' parameters is really important.
This is Tracy. And does that look like us setting up? We just need to set up another Board of Cosmetology meeting within that 90 days. Correct. Or before the 90 days is up. I love that idea. There is more reading that I would like to do. And Sammy, is it okay? Like, I know we're not supposed to research together, but is it okay for like Beatrice or anyone to send links to you on information and then you can get it to us?
Absolutely. Send it to me and I will package everything and get it to you guys.
Okay.
Perfect.
This is Beatrice. I will definitely get on that and start sending Sammy information.
Awesome. Thank you. Does that land well for everyone else?
This
This
is
is
Chelsea.
Jamie.
I love that idea.
You guys
This
want to
is
decide
this
on a
is
date?
Jamie. I agree.
And this is Alicia. I love it too.
Thank
I,
you.
I think that Josh will probably want you guys to land on a date before the end of the meeting,
For sure.
just to get it out of the way.
Yeah, for sure. Do y'all want to do that right this minute, or do you want to wait till a little bit later?
Well, since it's on topic, let's go ahead and see if we can nail down a date.
Perfect.
So sometime in April, this is Beatrice, sometime in April then would be before the 90 days. Is that what I'm looking?
Yeah, I haven't counted the 90 days, but yeah.
Like early April?
Yeah, early April.
If we stick with Thursdays, like April the 9th?
This is Chelsea. I was just going to say April 9th works well for me, if that works for others.
This is
Can we
Beatrice
put
work.
this is Harold. The 9th doesn't work for me. Can we do the 16th?
We have another board meeting that unless you guys do the afternoon.
Okay.
I can do either one of those times. I'm flexible.
Hey.
And I can be this is Beatrice. I can be flexible too if needed to be.
So April the 9th between 10 and noon.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, that's open for me too.
Perfect.
This is Jamie. That works for me.
Perfect. Alicia and Sarah?
I can make that work. I'm fully booked on the 9th, but I think I can bump a client. So yeah.
Thank you.
This is Sarah. That works for me.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. This is Beatrice. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Beatrice, thank you for bringing really valid, good points up. I appreciate it. Okay. Are we on director's update? Do we need to do anything else with that?
Nope, you're all good.
Perfect. Thank you, Sammy.
Okay. Great discussion. Thank you. Next item up is the director's reports, and the director won't be given the next one. Chrissy is going to provide you some board member resources and membership information.
Hello, this is Chrissy. So as a friendly reminder, we are at a new year, so we need to take a look at the trainings that we have on this slide. We're on slide 40. Some of them are per term, some of them are annually, and some of them are optional. So please take a look at those and be mindful of those trainings. If you need help getting into your Workday account to take those trainings, please connect with me and I will help you get into your Workday account. For board membership, we have Tracy. She's in her second term, which expires in October of 27, and she cannot reappoint. We have Sarah in her first term, expiring in April of 28 and can reappoint. Chelsea in her first term, expiring in June of 2026 and can reappoint. Beatrice in her first term of January and expires in January of 2028 and can reappoint. We have Alicia in her first term and she expires in August of 2026, can reappoint. Jamie in her first term expires in November of 2026, can reappoint. And we have Harold in his second term, which expires in April of 2027 and cannot reappoint. I do want to make a call out for those that have terms expiring this year and will be eligible for reappointment. Please be on the lookout for emails from me. I will be reaching out to you to have you reapply. That is the process. So we'll need your resume ready to go and submit an application on Workday and we'll get you reappointed on the board. Any questions? Cool.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Okay. Thanks, Chrissy. Okay. Next item up are some statistics, and we're on slide 43. for those of you following along. I'm not going to call out the last 3 fiscal years, but I'll start with 26. We've issued a 76 barber license in Q1 of 2026, Q2, 54, and Q3, 14. Hair design, same fiscal year, 201 in Q1 of 26, 196 in Q2, and 48 in Q3, taking us to slide 45. For nail technology in the same time frame, Q1 we've issued 223, Q2 199, and Q3 154. Excuse me, 54. National Hair Care in Q1 was 16, Q2 19, and Q3 7 issued. Esthetician licenses, Q1 219, Q2 257, Q3 58. Independent contractors, Q1 271, Q2 287, and Q3 77. Freelance authorizations, 87 in Q1, 74 in Q2, 15 in Q3. Facility license, we've issued 204 in Q1, 210 in Q2, and 63 in Q3. Renewals, same time frame, and if anybody has questions, please pipe up and let me know. We've renewed by paper 130, online 199 in Q1, Q2 109 by paper, 146 online, and Q3 23 by paper and 17 online. So as you're going along on slide 52, hair design, you can see 841 in Q1 on paper, 1489 online, 703 by paper in Q2, and 1225 online. And currently in Q3, 170 it looks like by paper and 196 online. Nail technology, 336 by paper, 1012 online, 390 on paper in Q2, 961 online, and in Q3, 89 on paper and 151 online. National Hair Care, same cycle, Q1, 7 by paper, 4 online, Q2, 3 by paper, 5 online, and currently in Q3, 1 by paper, 4 online. Moving on to slide 55, 484 for estheticians by paper and 1213 online, and Q2 506 on paper, 1083 online, and Q3 97 by paper, 186 online. Independent contractors, Q1 205 by paper, 1010 online, 263 in Q2 by paper, 844 online, and in Q3 54 by paper, 176 online. Moving on to slide 57, the freelance authorizations. Fiscal year 2026, 14 by paper, 58 online. Q2, 14 by paper, 41 online. And Q3, 8 by paper, 9 online. Facilities, 433 by paper, renewals, 771 online. Q2 359, and that's paper, and 679 online. Q3 88 by paper, 123 online. Licenses by age and gender, and that's on slide 59. Looks like good spread all across ages, and plenty of new folks coming in between ages 18 and 25 and 26 to 33. Licensing trends on slide 60, averaging about 2,685 for barbering. Hair design has taken a dip down to 18,482 on average, and that's of Q3 this fiscal year 2026. And we're just getting into that section, that part of the fiscal year. So those numbers should peak back up. Nail technology on slide 62, an average of 12,684. Natural hair care average 217 in Q3 of 2026. On slide 64, estheticians, as you can see here, it's peaking back up to 15,456 in Q3 of 2026. Independent contractors on average 7,517, and that too has peaked up. On slide 66, freelance authorizations, 682 on average. They have taken a dip. Slide 67, cosmetology facilities average 5,094 in Q3. And the financial reports. Got a lot of years on here, but I think it's helpful to help the board see what's been happening over the last several fiscal years. And we're on slide 68. So we started fiscal year 2026, 650,243. That was the beginning balance, and that's a negative balance. We brought in 2,361, not 690, 2,361,695 in revenue, and expenditures were 2,753,103. Net operations in the negative 391,408, and a cash balance in the rears of 1,041,642. Any questions?
This is Tracy. The discrepancy in bringing in 5 million in 2025 and 23, like where we are now at 2, and I know the whole time is not up, but do we know why those numbers are so different?
I do not know. I see 23 and 24 were par, and then we had a big upswing in 2025. I don't know what precipitated that, but I can certainly look into it. We actually have an in-house fiscal analyst now. So,
Nice.
and I'm sorry, I didn't catch that when I got these reports, but what I did see was the negative.
Yeah.
Back in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're early in the fiscal year. Well, we're in Q3, so we've got until the end of June.
Right.
So, we're looking into why you're having such swings to the negative. I can't go much into it without breaching some confidential conversations I've been having, because we just don't know, and I don't want to give you a false hope, but I would like to get to the bottom of it. Myself and Sammy have talked about it, and we don't know why we're having this swing. So hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it sooner than later.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, any other questions?
Hey, Bob.
Okay.
Hey, this is
Harold.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
good morning. Quick question. So, issue popped up, and it has to do with independent contractors and freelancers. So, there was a stylist who was got licensed in another state, Washington, and they wanted to come and work in our salon in Portland. How does that work? Is there any guidelines for that? For example, cross state lines, or better yet, just having an independent contractor license from another state coming over to work in our state?
I see our licensing manager's hand is up, so I'm going to let her field that question for you, Harold, if that's okay.
That's great. Thanks, Bob.
Tina.
Thank you, Tina.
Good morning. This is Tina, licensing manager. Harold, you and I could have a conversation about this, but they do have to be licensed in Oregon to work in Oregon. So if they want to come through reciprocity into Oregon, they take our exams and get licensed, and then they too would need an independent contractor for Oregon. You can't cross lines and come in and work in a salon in Oregon without being licensed.
Got it. Okay, so basically their Washington license is null and void. They would have to come here and take the license, and then take the exam, and then become a contractor here.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that feedback.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the question, Harold. And Chair and Board, so on these reports, as I read them, they're dry. And I can only imagine what you're thinking. Oh God, is he ever going to end? So we're going to look at just making not the type of charts that we have now where they're ups and downs, more of a line like the slides on 60 to kind of illustrate it, so I don't have to really talk. You can review it, and then we can have a discussion about it. Is that okay?
That's great. I appreciate seeing everything, but I'm with you. It can't be great to just sit and deliver that. So I'm fine with us being grown people and reading the information.
And I get pretty monotone too. So yeah. Okay. Well, good. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
And Trampus is off today on a field trip. So I will cover his regulatory report. We're up to 3 bienniums on here again. And I can't go into the specifics because I don't know them. I didn't actually realize he was going to be off today. But as people are looking at as board members are looking at slide 70, are there any questions that pop out to you? Yeah, it's pretty much it's the same report. The numbers do fluctuate because we get cases closed, and but we get new ones opened. As an agency, we hit a historic number for 2025. We had 450 complaints, not on your board only, across HLO, which is 100 more than we're used to seeing. And so there's a lot going on, and we did, but you're our largest board, and we do get a lot of complaints. I mean, it's just math. So
this is Tracy. I don't have any questions.
Any of the board members? Okay, seeing none. Sammy.
Thanks, Bob. And we're on to Sammy, I believe, House Bill 2380. Is that correct?
Yeah, so this is just Derek has had 2 qualification committee meetings that kind of getting the lay of the land of where people kind of stood on the topic of having this provisional certificate for people who reside 50 miles from a school, whatever their field of practice they choose. So we've had 2 of those, and so he has the qualification committee members, which will become a joint RAC and qualification committee in the next meeting, which is the 18th. So basically all I'm asking you guys is for any recommendations of people you think should serve on the RAC. Now note, we have a lot of the areas covered. Just need some ideas if there's any that are not covered. And we can just kind of walk through these questions on page, I don't know, of the materials. Hold on here, let me look.
Sorry, it's 74. It's slide 74 for the questions.
Okay, so we just walks like, who will the rule affect? So we had no schools. It may affect schools. It'll affect practitioners in each field who are going to supervise. And we have representation already, but we have had some applications, a few, not very many. And then other people that you think it could affect, like just throw out communities, interested parties.
This is Tracy. I'm just curious if you and or any other of our representatives from the state get to participate on a level of how it affects you, how it affects the state, how it affects the need possibly for more inspectors who, like who's overseeing, like, do we need an outside person to bring in those comments, or are you and others like you able to participate at that level?
I guess I'm not sure I understand the question.
Communities that are affected, I just think, how is this affecting like the board, the inspectors? There's going to be a lot of overseeing that needs to happen in that. And I don't know if the communities that are there are recognizing the potential financial burden of hiring more people, the logistics of having more inspectors. Like, I just was curious if someone was representing that arena inside of these conversations.
No, I mean, I don't have an inspector or anybody from regulatory on the committee. As a matter of fact, good question though. Maybe we should have one.
Right.
Okay, and these are usually redundant questions, so who are our regular rule stakeholders? So again, it's gonna be licensees, people who are interested in becoming licensed, customers, which we don't have a customer on the committee. I mean, I'm a customer, so I guess that counts. Any other regular stakeholders that we should reach out to? Consider additional groups unified by common characteristics. So this could be like senior citizens or rural. I mean, rural's big, but we have actually reached out to, we did a special notice to rural practitioners. Any specific ones?
I mean, this is Tracy. I mean, I don't know about a group, but I do, like rural communities. If someone is representing these, that to me is important.
Yes, and we do have, I believe we have someone from Coos Bay. I think we have a few already on from the qualifications committee. I'm looking here if I can tell from the chart.
Yeah, this is Tracy. I watched those, and so I saw who was on there, and I feel like you've got a lot.
Yeah. Good representation. Consider other groups to rules likely to affect and who have not traditionally been included in the board's rulemaking process. Derek and I did meet with the Bureau of Labor and Industry and a practitioner, and they kind of just walked us through apprenticeship and what that meant in Oregon, and it was an interesting meeting, to say that, I'm gonna put it that way. But so, I mean, they haven't been involved, but we've worked together with them to kind of find out, is this part of that? Is this not part of that? And it is, as far as we can tell, it's not. So
this is Tracy. The delineation, that language of apprentice, removing that language of apprentice really removes the Bureau of Labor from this dialogue, right?
Yeah, and basically what we learned is the way it works is a group of people would go to the Bureau of Labor Industry and say, we're interested in having an apprenticeship model. And that's how it works. So, because I was like, well, who's regulating? Is somebody going to come after the health licensing office because we don't have, and so we found that was interesting that it was actually usually the profession that goes to them and says, we want to be in this apprenticeship program. What do we do? And so that's not this. Maybe it will be in the future, but not now.
Right.
So that's one that's been new. Let's see. Next question. Is there a person HLO can contact who clearly represents the interests of community, even though not a member of the community? That's a weird question. I think we've covered it.
Great.
Sarah did a really good job getting people on this committee, so I'm just going to steal from that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I know. We're combining jobs. Thank you, Derek.
Yes, thank you, Derek. Okay, any board members have any other communities or individuals, groups that you feel like need to be considered for this Rules Advisory Committee? Okay, I think we're good.
And then the rule schedule is kind of ongoing based on, we have 2 meetings scheduled. We don't know if we'll need more. So we don't have like a target. We'd like to have at least 60 days to kind of implement and maybe do a training, but I don't know how that's going to go. We have to start. Yeah. There's a lot of work to be doing between now and the 18th.
Right. I'm just curious, from my understanding, one of the people that was on the qualifications board had been a participant in some sort of like apprenticeship program in another state, something like that. Are they using and are able to use, references of what this program looks like in other states to start kind of setting some guidelines for inside of Oregon?
I don't think we've got there yet.
Yeah.
I think what we did was I think the first meeting, it was feelers, what did everybody know? What did they not know? There's still a lot of things that they don't know. I'll do a training on rules and statutes and how all those things at the next meeting. And then I think the second meeting, we spent kind of pulling out things in the bill that were like, we don't know what that means.
Right.
And we think this is important. And I'm like, well, I don't know if we can do that. So we have had this bunch of questions that we took and we've gotten together with the powers that be and we got answers. So with those answers, I'm drafting rules that Derek will then look at my rules and we'll mash them together and hopefully have rules in some kind of draft training program on the 18th. I think that window is getting very small between now and the 18th. So,
I mean, I don't know how y'all are getting it together so quickly because it does seem like a massive, massive undertaking. So thank you for the work you're doing.
Well, cross your fingers.
Yep. Okay. Are we ready to go into executive session?
If you are.
Sure. The Board of Cosmetology will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602F and ORS 676.590 for the purpose of considering information exempt from public disclosure at 11:06 a.m. on February the 5th, 2026. Representatives of the news media shall be allowed to attend the executive session. Audience members attending through Zoom will now be moved into a separate breakout room, and audience members attending in person are asked to leave the room both for the duration of executive session. Those authorized to attend the executive session, please continue to keep your phone muted and camera off. Are there any representatives of the news media on Zoom? Perfect. No. Thank you. Recognizing that there is no news media in attendance, the public will now be moved into a separate breakout room for the duration of the executive session. We will return to open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. The Board of Cosmetology will now exit executive session and reconvening open session time at 12:13 p.m. No final decisions were made and no votes were taken in executive session. The public will move from the breakout room back into meeting, and representatives of the media may once again report all board discussions and actions.
Chair and members of the board, it is proposed that in complaint number 2511591 to revoke COS facility license 102-09977 and aesthetics license 101-42469, assess the civil penalty in the amount of $5,000, assess the cost of proceedings up to $5,000, and allow HLO to negotiate on the board's behalf.
Can I get a motion?
This is Chelsea Westcott. So moved.
Second.
This is Beatrice Van. I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll take roll. Tracy Paramo, aye. Harold Fox.
Aye.
Chelsea Westcott.
Aye.
Jamie Farron.
Aye.
Beatrice Van.
Aye.
Alicia Reed.
Aye.
Sarah Schilling.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, Chair, is, I believe, public interested parties feedback, and we did have an email sent to us.
Awesome. So at this time, the Board of apologies. At this time, the Board of Cosmetology will hear public and interested parties' feedback. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes and will not be allowed if they are disruptive to the board's conduct of its business. If you're called on to comment, HLO staff will request the public member to unmute themselves. The chairperson and HLO reserve the right to end a person's comment early and have HLO staff mute the public member if the comment does not pertain to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment? If so, please raise your hand or use the Zoom raise hand feature and wait to be acknowledged.
I see Carrie Weed is online, but she doesn't have her hand up. Carrie, did you have something to add? And I do see Kat with her hand up. So Kat, if you can introduce yourself to the board and make a comment.
Can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Kat. I'm appearing as the authorized representative of Aesthetics Advocacy Initiative, the petitioner listed on today's agenda. I just kind of want to talk a little bit about this petition and our position. So this petition is submitted for the limited purpose of rule clarification. It is our belief that it does not request expansion of scope, contraction of scope, or any substantive change to statutory authority. Rather, the petition is asking the board to clarify and consolidate existing interpretations of aesthetic scope that are already being relied upon in practice, but which are currently fragmented across informal guidance, historical determinations, and enforcement practices. As outlined in the petition, licensees are expected to comply with interpretations that are not always clearly reflected in rule text for publicly accessible guidance. This creates uncertainty for practitioners, schools, employers, and inspectors, and raises due process concerns when enforcement relies on unwritten and inconsistently communicated standards. It is also important to explain why Aesthetics Advocacy Initiative exists. This initiative was created specifically because of unclear and ambiguous rules and the resulting confusion among practitioners. On a daily basis, we receive questions from licensees trying to understand what is permitted, what is prohibited, and how existing rules apply in real-world settings. While the board may believe certain aspects of scope are clear, practitioners respectfully disagree. Ultimately, licensees are the ones implementing these rules every day, and the rules as currently written and interpreted do not consistently reflect the realities of daily practice. To give a concrete example, we are aware of a situation in which an instructor at a well-known advanced aesthetic school advised students that advanced aesthetics licensure was required to perform microneedling. We do not believe this was intentional or malicious. Rather, it reflects genuine confusion caused by unclear and fragmented guidance. To clarify, the board has stated today that the rules regarding microneedling are clear. However, after extensive review and preparation for this petition and hearing, we were unable to locate that specific rule that clearly states this requirement. As a result of that advice, a student enrolled in advanced aesthetics program and paid substantially higher tuition under the belief that an advanced licensure was mandatory in order to perform microneedling. That student relied on what they reasonably believed to be authoritative instruction. We also hear repeatedly from licensees who contact the board with scope questions are told that the board cannot give legal advice. While we understand the limits on staff providing legal counsel, a licensee should not have to hire an attorney simply to determine whether a service is within scope. Knowing what is permitted under one's license is a foundational requirement for compliance. When staff cannot point licensees to consolidated written interpretations, practitioners are left to choose between risk over compliance or costly legal consultation. None of those outcomes serve public protection. I also want to correct the record regarding harm. It has been stated today that no harm has been reported. I believe that was what was said. And I just want to point out that harm has been reported. I have personally reported harm to the board on multiple occasions within the last 2 months. And I'm aware of other licensed estheticians who have also reported harm related to scope confusion and inconsistent interpretation. The harm at issue is not hypothetical. It includes financial harm, reliance harm, educational harm, and compliance harm, such as students enrolling in unnecessary programs, licensees over-licensing out of fear of compliance, and practitioners being unable to obtain clear guidance before enforcement occurs. In addition, there has been a noticeable increase in post-surgical body contouring and post-operative services, including post-operative lymphatic drainage, being offered in aesthetic settings. These practices have been reported to the board. However, it remains unclear how these services are being evaluated under existing scope and enforcement standards, or how they fit within the current aesthetics license framework. There are also situations in which practitioners who have caused documented harm to clients continue to practice after being reported multiple times. I raise this not to single out individuals, but to highlight unclear scope definitions and inconsistent enforcement leave both the public and compliant licensees unprotected. Even if harm reports are informal, dispersed, or not centrally tracked, they are still harm. The absence of consolidated data does not mean the absence of harm. It means the harm is not being captured in a way that reflects what licensees and clients are experiencing. This confusion extends beyond practitioners and schools. A major national cosmetology insurance provider has publicly stated on their website that standard estheticians in Oregon may not perform microneedling. Insurers do not invent exclusions. They rely on regulatory interpretations, enforcement trends, and guidance they believe to be authoritative. When students, instructors, licensees, insurers, and board communications all reflect different understandings of the same service, it demonstrates that the issue is not bad actors, but systemic ambiguity. This petition does not ask the board to decide substantive scope questions today. It asks the board to memorialize existing interpretations through formal clarification and easily accessible documentation so expectations are transparent, consistent, and publicly accessible. We are not asking that every device or treatment be individually listed, rather that the rules be written clearly enough that an average licensee can read them and reasonably determine whether a treatment or device falls within scope. Clarification promotes compliance, supports consistent enforcement, and protects reliance interests. Rule clarification is the appropriate mechanism to accomplish that work without expanding scope or reducing safeguards. For those reasons, we respectfully request that the board grant the petition and initiate the appropriate clarification process consistent with ORS 183.390. Thank you, everybody, for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Kat. Carrie, did you have something?
Yes, I do, but if that's okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I couldn't figure out how to hit the raise hand button. I wanted to follow up on the conversation you guys had earlier about lymphatic drainage and scope of practice between a facial massage and massage. So Gorge Academy has both a aesthetics program as well as a massage therapy program. And I do want to note, and I'm very happy that you guys are going to take the time to research this and look into it more, whether it's devices or techniques, because lymphatic drainage is a modality within massage therapy that can be harmful if done incorrectly. I understand marketing and, YouTube videos and social media type of stuff that just says, oh, look, you rub your cheek this direction and look how much thinner you are. It's not simple like that. And there are tools like Guashan and, the jade rollers and that kind of stuff that kind of indicates that you're doing a lymphatic drainage technique. But we have to be very, very careful within the aesthetics that we are not promoting or doing or performing lymphatic drainage as part of a service, as part of a modality or a massage technique. There are listed massage techniques that you can do with aesthetics. It goes through I think 7 or whatever it is. And it by no means should it be done as a lymphatic drainage for aesthetics. So I just wanted to put that out there, and thank you guys very much for taking the time and utilizing that 90 days to really research and make some clarifications on it.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah. And as well, I just want to say thank you to all the board members for all of your time. I know there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on. It's not just your guys' meeting. So thank you very much for everything that you do for our industry. I did want to also, one quick question as well too. Looking at Q3 enroll, our numbers, is it because we're not done with Q3 and then that's why the numbers are so low for Q3, or is there some trend or something that I'm not aware of?
No, this is Bob. You're correct. We're in Q3 now. So Q1 begins on July 1 of a previous year, and
Okay.
then every 3 months, it's a different quarter.
But are those total numbers for Q3?
No.
So far, they'll continue to increase as we move through the quarter. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So your assessment was correct.
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarification.
Mm-hmm. Chair and members, this is Bob. We did have a mail in your packet of some public comment. Did everybody get a chance to review it?
Yes.
Okay.
No requirement to read it out loud.
You can.
I'm not. I just was asking what the requirement would be.
I'm not sure. I think we present it and you have it.
Perfect.
And you don't have to respond to it at this point.
Right. Perfect. Okay.
Can we request to get read out loud?
Say again?
Can we request that it gets read out loud?
It's in the board materials.
Okay.
So online, you can pick it up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay. This is Tracy. Do we have any other board business? Are we good to adjourn? Perfect. The Board of Cosmetology meeting is adjourned at 12:27 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good
Thanks,
day.
everybody. Go Seahawks.
Thank you. Go Hawks.
Nice.